Hello everyone and welcome to this final tutorial in this series of training for Zyqual certification. In the previous assignments, we've looked at setting up our admin area by filling in all the necessary details to get the school set up. We've looked at users and roles where we added different users to the system, teachers with different roles. We've looked at creating standard observations, which are like the day-to-day observations that are carried out within schools. In this tutorial, we will be looking at average observations. Average observations are related to the teacher appraisal instrument. So let's take a look on the JTC website. Under resources, you can find several documents. We have the principal appraisal instrument. We have the teacher's appraisal instrument. We have the beginning teacher appraisal instrument. And today for the demonstration, I will be using the beginning teacher appraisal instrument. Now, these might not be the latest version, so you should consult your school or the JTC to get the latest version available. However, the process will be the same for creating all of them, but I will just be using this one as the guide. So when I open the beginning teacher appraisal instrument, it says at the top, beginning teacher performance appraisal. Let's take a look at this paper version and see how that will translate into Zyqual later on. So here we have some details about this appraisal instrument. This appraisal is based on 6 guiding principles. So keep that in mind that there are 6 guiding principles. In Zyqual, that would then translate into 6 different sections. The first one says, teacher knows the subject content that he or she teaches. And the last one says, teacher conducts himself or herself in a manner that uplifts the profession. So, teachers are awarded professional credits, and the credits that they get in each section will determine the grades or the performance in relation to their strength or weakness in these different areas. So for example, let's say a teacher was appraised and they looked at GP1, teacher knows the subject content that he or she teaches. If the teacher gets 90 to 100% of the credits in that area, then they will be considered as exemplary in that area. Let's say the teacher got 60 to 70% of credits in that area, then that means the teacher would be weak in that area as well. So based on how this appraisal work, they are looking at the different principles or the different guiding principles, and then you are appraised in those areas and given a score rating. It's not a rating. They say it's not a rating, but it is. They look at your performance to identify your strengths and your weaknesses in those areas. And these are the different categories that demonstrates how well you are performing. So we have exemplary, which is 90 to 100%. Area of strength, 71 to 89%. Area of weakness, 60 to 70%. And anything under 60% is considered unsatisfactory. So keep that in mind, because when we are setting up the grading in Zyqual, you will need to be aware of this so that we can do it effectively. Now scrolling down, you can see that the appraisal instrument will collect some demographic data, and when you were setting up your school, you would have noticed that you would have already input all of this data into Zyqual. So when you are carrying out an appraisal, you do not need to go back and collect this background information each time. It would have already been recorded when you set up the school. Now moving down, we're going to look at the appraisal itself, and we're going to be looking at GP1, Guiding Principle 1. Teacher knows the subject or subjects that he or she teaches. Item 1, demonstrated knowledge of subject content, and also source of evidence where the evidence can come from to support these teaching standards below. So we have teaching standards in this column here. And the first teaching standard is 1.1, knows subject content. Example of performance or evidence can be obtained the required induction certification in a teacher's college or a college offering teacher education. The maximum credit you could get for this teacher standard here is 7. And then we have 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4. These makes up the standards that falls under Guiding Principle 1. You can also see that Guiding Principle 1 has a total of 23 credits available. So teachers can get between 0 to 23 credits, and when this is finished, they would then find the percentage of how much you get out of 23, which would then tell you your performance in that area, whether it is exemplary, or you're strong in that area, or you're weak in that area, or you are performing unsatisfactory in that area. Below GP1, we have GP2, and GP2, the layout is pretty much similar. So I will explain this process to set up onto Zyqual using GP1 and GP2. Your task will be to complete GP3, 4, 5, and 6 by yourself and submit it. You will then need to use it to create, to run the appraisal and see how it looks with the reporting system. So you will do that independently, but I will show you how to do the first part, and then you will use your common sense as well as what you've gained and apply that to complete the appraisal. Right. Let's now go back to Zyqual. So when we click on average observations, we can see that there is nothing here. And what we need to do first is to click on create new observation and then choose average observation. Now I'm going to create the beginning teacher appraisal. So I am going to give this a name. And firstly, what I'm going to do is I am going to set up GP1. Now, keep in mind that we can set up 6 different GPs in 6 different appraisals. The reason for that would be you could allow staff to do those as self-assessment by themselves, and then when they meet with their observer or their head of department, you can create one that contains all the GPs so that they can then discuss that with their appraiser to show them the evidence that they've gathered to make the whole appraisal system or process a lot easier. So I'm going to go over to here and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call mine beginning teacher appraisal GP1, because I'm just creating GP1 independently. Type of observation is graded. I'm going to make it self-observation so that the staff can do it for themselves. I'm going to keep the start dates and end dates. You will change these to reference when you want them to start and end. I will not go through all of these because you would have seen them in the previous tutorial for standard observation. They work exactly the same. We have allow observee comment, which is new. If you tick this, if it is not self-observation and it is ticked, the observee can respond to the observer's feedback. If it is not ticked, the observee cannot respond to the observer's comments. So if it is self-observation, we do not need to tick that because they do not need to respond to their own comments. So I will leave it as self-observation. If it is not self-observation, that means someone else will do it for them, most likely their head of department, and you would click allow observee comment so that they can respond. All right. I'll just leave it like that. I will leave the self-observation. Let's not get it confused. Let's leave it as self-observation for now. I will not limit it. I want them to be able to do it as many times as they want because it is not the actual appraisal. It is the self-observation that they can do for themselves many times to ensure that they get the best grade or the maximum credits that they want. I'm not going to add any focus or context because that is not on the document itself. I am not going to allow anonymous, and I'm going to put the purpose of observation. So over here on this appraisal, you can see I'm just going to copy this information here to put back onto the document. So I can copy this and I can paste it. Now when you're copying from the PDF, you will notice that it is trying to keep the structure of the file from the PDF. So you would in turn need to backspace to ensure that it's not going into a new line unnecessarily. So I backspace and cut that out, and then I'm going to get the second part. I'm going to get this, I'm pasting it, and I'm going to get this. Now this might become a bit tricky to fix if you're copying directly from the file. Right, so I need to make sure that I format it properly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That seems okay to me. And then I can get the next part, which is here. And I'll just stop there. If you want to add more, it's up to you. Make sure I fix these. And okay. Next, I'm going to add my grading description. So the grading description, again, we can find it over here where we have exemplary. I'll just copy that information there and I'll just paste it there. And then I'm going to go for area of strength and I'm going to paste it there. Now I need to make sure that this is not looking untidy. So I'm going to just tidy it up as I paste it. Need to get area of weakness. You will see why we are pasting these information here after we've saved the observation. Unsatisfactory now, and I'm pasting. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now I am going to save the observation. So beginning teacher appraisal GP1, and I'm going to save it. Now when I save it, I'm going to go to my dashboard. Oops, what did this say? Already exists. Try different name. GP1. Let's try that. Save. I go back to my dashboard. I can see what I had created. Now notice I did not add any key indicator and my name doesn't look right, so I'm going to edit it. Average observation. Oh yeah, I had created some observations before as practice to demonstrate this. So that's why it said it has the same name. So I'm just putting the 1.0 there. And then I'm saving. And then I'm just going to go back to my dashboard to check it out. Average observation here. I can see the purpose. I can see the guiding principles and the information I had added there. Now I need to add the key indicators. But before I do that, I need to edit this, and I need to add the grade boundaries. So now I'm going to add grade boundaries. So add grade boundary. First one I'm going to add is exemplary. And to speed up the whole thing, I'm just copying and pasting. Exemplary. And I know that the percentage should be 90 plus. And I'm just going to, so notice it's 90 plus, so we put 90. So the lowest grade for that category is 90, because it's going to be 90 plus. So I'm just going to copy the description, and I'm going to paste it there, and I click save. So now notice exemplary is 90, percentage is 90 plus, and the description is there. Add grade boundary. And the description goes there, 71, and it was area of strength. Save. Now notice my second grade boundary pops up. 71 plus, which is 71 to 89. That's the description. I'm going to add the other two. The next one is area of weakness, which is 60 to 70%. So area of weakness 60, and then I just get the description again, so notice I'm repeating myself. Save. Now the last one, so notice 60 plus, which is 60 to 70. The last one is a bit different, and the last one will always be a bit different for each grade or group. So this is under 60%. Unsatisfactory practice, put a capital P there, and this was 60. Now I'm going to tick is below, because it says under 60%. So under 60%, so I put 60, under 60, and then I just put the description. Under 60% of credits. Save. Now notice the symbol for this one says less than, so less than 60% of credits. And then I'm going to click save to update my grades. Now I'm going to add the GP1. So to add GP1, I need to click add section. When I click add section, the add edit section comes up. So we need to do the same thing we did when we were doing the standard observation. So down here, we have the teaching standards and GP1, that's the title. So I'm gonna call it, I'm not gonna put the entire length of the name GP1, teacher knows the subjects that she teaches. So I'm just gonna rename it and call it subject knowledge as short. So I'm calling it subject knowledge. And the total credits available for this section, GP1, is 23. So I go back and I put 23 here. The description is this. I'm just going to copy GP1 teacher knows the subject. So that's the description there. And additional information is, oh, I can also put item 1 inside here. So I put item 1, so I can put a full stop there, and then additional information, sources, so I can put that there and save. Now notice it pops up here, so GP1, I renamed it and call it subject knowledge, and the description I put GP number 1, teacher knows the subjects that he or she teaches, full stop, item 1, demonstrated knowledge of subject content, and then sources of information as the additional information. So notice I've copied all of this bit here. So now I am going to save my observation again, just so that if I'm online for too long, it does not disconnect and prevent and I will lose the work. So I keep saving every time I do something different. So now I've added that section. Now if I was going to add GP2 to this, I would have done the same thing. So I will just do that as a demonstration here. I will just change the name to GP1 and 2, and I'll just save that. So I'm just going to add GP2 to this, so I add another section. Now when I add the other section, I will call this one what? So GP2, teacher knows how to teach the subject or subjects for which he or she is responsible. So GP2, let me just call it teaching as a short. I'll just copy this. GP2, CHING, teaching. And the total score for GP2 is 23, the same. So I'm going to go ahead and put 23. The description, I'm just going to copy all of this. That goes into the description. And the additional information, I get that. Save. And I can carry on and put GP3, GP4, all the way to GP6. But I'll stop at GP1 and 2, and then you will complete it on your own. So I'm just going to save that again. Next, under GP1, I am going to add these teaching standards along with the information that goes here, which is the performance or evidence. So I now need to click Add Key Indicators. So I'm going to click that. Because I have more than one GPs in here, I need to choose which one I'm adding the key indicator for. So I'm choosing GP1 here, and the first one here says knows subject content. So I'm going to shorten this again, and I'm going to call it no subject content. So I'm summarizing it, subject content. The total score available for that, I think, is 7. So let's just double check. Yes, the total credits available for this standard is 7. So I put the 7 there. I'm going to click Allow Evidence Upload. If we tick this, that means when they are carrying out the appraisal, they can upload evidence for that specific criterion or teaching standard. And then down here, I will put the performance or evidence. So I'm just going to label it as teaching standard, performance or evidence. So teaching standard, put that, performance evidence, then I put that. So, and then I've just formatted it so that it looks presentable. And I can save that. So you can see the first key indicator. I'm just going to save that. And then I'm going to add another key indicator. But before I do so, I want to add some descriptors, because if this is 7 credits, I can add some descriptors explaining what they can do to get those 7 credits. So below here, I'm going to add some descriptors, and I put some information in relation to the credits that they could get. So I'm just going to take this off just to show you what it looks like. So I save that, save observation. If I go to my dashboard and I click average observation, you can now see that I have one key indicator here. And if I click start observation, you can see what it looks like. So this is the key indicator. So if I click on this, it will show you the background information, how much credits is available for this section. where additional information can come from for providing evidence, and so on. Now, when you're carrying out the observation, it is good practice so the observer can see what they can offer 7 credits for. So now this is here, and also you have where you can get information from, but some schools are adding more details to make it easier for the observer. So I'm going to go back on the average observation list, and I'm going to edit. I'm going to edit this key indicator, and below this I'm going to put some descriptors. Save. Go back and look at it. When I start it, I can see what the person can do to get 7, what they can do to get 6, and so on. So this is under GP1. Right, now I'm going to go back and continue adding a few more key indicators. So I'm going to add more. I'm adding this one to GP1 again. And this time I am going to call it, so let's look at, is able to relate concepts to other subjects. So I am going to call this one cross-curricular, because they are able to relate their subject to other subjects. So I'm going to call it cross-curricular. Total marks for that is, I believe, 4. So let me just double check. 4. And I'm going to bring over some more details. So now we need the performance or evidence, teacher standards. This one, demonstrate their interrelationships between subjects in the curriculum. So I'm just going to translate this over here, format it. So I put that, performance evidence is that, and I add some descriptors, what they can do to achieve grade 0. Save. Now notice I have 2. So I'm going to just save that again. And then I'm going to scroll down and add more key indicators. So I'm going to add the third one, which is this one. So I'm going to add knows and understand how the subject is structured in the curriculum. So I am just going to call this one, so summarize it, I'm going to call it subject structure. Subject structure. I need to select GP1 because it's still GP1. And the total score available for that is 7. Let's double check. Yep, 7. And I'm allowing them to upload evidence. And I'm going to bring over the additional details. So this is 1 point teacher standard 1.3 knows the subject, knows and understand how the subject is structured, and the performance evidence is demonstrate the logical sequence. So I'm just going to bring that over, and I'm also going to add some descriptors to make it clear what they can do to achieve those credits. And then I'm going to save again, and I'm going to add the last one, which is 1.4, which is able to relate subject to national development goals. So I'm just going to summarize that, and I'm going to call it national goals. So I'm going to add the last one here. I'm going to make sure I select GP1, and the total credit for that is 5. Just to double check, 5. I'm allowing them to upload evidence, and I'm going to just bring the other details over and save. Now you do not have to add the descriptors, but it's good practice to add some. And if you notice, all I did was just add these and format them so that it looks presentable. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go to my dashboard to see what it looks like. So I click on average observation, I can see that I was creating GP1 and 2. That's the name of my observation. I start. I can choose the person's details, but notice that it's not allowing me to choose anything. That is because I had selected self-assessment. So I could change that just to show you how it works. If I take that off and save it, save and exit. When I go back there, I should be able to choose a member of staff that I want to do it for. See, I can now choose who I want to do it for, but I'm going to leave it as self-observation. Save. So I said I was going to add GP2 to it. I'm going to do that a lot quicker now. So I just need to click key indicators again, but this time I need to make sure that I choose GP2, and then I need to add the key indicators. So I'm not going to do all of this in the video. You can see this is where the details go. So 2.1 develops in learners critical thinking and creative ways to solve problems. So I can call that critical learners. Again, you can summarize it and give it a title that you seem fitting for what it is. Total credits available for that is 6. And I am just going to paste that there and save it. Now notice it says GP2 here. Total credits available is 6, GP1, GP1, GP1. And that's how you add the different key indicators to the appraisal. So average observation, beginning teacher appraisal. I can run the observation and it is self-observation, so we can't select there. You can do self or you can leave it and choose for people. And there we have it. This is how you create the appraisal. Now these, if you understand this from the previous one, you can add comments, you can upload files. I'll show you how to upload a file. Click the upload button, choose a file, choose the file you want to upload, and then you click upload. I'm not going to upload it now, but that's how you do it. And everything else is the same, the publish hours and so on. Now with the appraisal, there is a continue later button. When that is clicked, you can find it under the home area under pending observations. So if you are doing this and you are not finished, you can always click continue later and then you can come back and find it under pending observations. So that's where you would find it. The appraisal is different from the standard observation in that it should take a longer time to do, and it's not something that you can do in one day. The standard observation is something that you do within minutes or an hour, but the appraisal or the average observation is something that can take a longer time. So you would want to pretty much continue later by carrying on adding grades and comments to it. Now let's take a look at what one looks like when it's finished. So I did create one inside Hanover Town High, and I did beginning teacher, I did GP1, and I did run an observation. So when it's done, you can create it for someone and then fill in all the details, how much score they get and the comments. You can see what that looks like when it's finished. On the dashboard, click on all observations. You can see I did only one. And if I click on the icon there, I can see the grades that I gave the person. I can still upload files or download the files. So when I click this, it shows the download button. That means I've uploaded files to it already. I can see, download and view which files was uploaded earlier, the scores that was given, And again, you can't really change the scores after you've done it. So we've added comments, and at the end of it you can see the table. So on the teaching appraisal document, when you get to the end, you see a table, and you would have to fill this table in by doing your calculations. Zyqual will do that for you, so you don't need to worry about the table itself. Also, on the report area, we can click average observation, and we can look at subject summary. So this one was for mathematics, and it was for the beginning teacher GP1, I think I did. If I run that, you'll be able to see the results and also the table telling you all of that details. So please do your own, complete it, run the observation, and then when we meet next, we will look at your completed observations and your reports. You can run the department report as well. And once you understand this, then I will be confident to provide you with the certification so you can begin. Please remember that I will be running a few more videos to show the different features. So we may not have to meet for those because they are much simpler features. There are many more new features I'm building or working on at the moment. When they become live, if it is necessary to do training, then I will send out videos to you so you can understand them, and then you will just tick in a Google document that you've done it and you understand. And people can always still use the WhatsApp group to communicate with me to let me know whether they understand or need some support. So I'm just running this one for maths again, and this is the one I did. And you can see we can run the faculty report as well. Okay, thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you completing this so we can provide you your certification and you move on to the next stage. Thanks for watching. See ya.